Hello, my name is Donna Feazell. I'm the Avon Beauty Center located in the Quintard Mall, pretty close to Things Remembered in the Foods Court. Thank you so much for watching today. I have a very special guest with me today. He's one of my customers. His name is Gene Black, and Gene Black is a local artist. Gene, talk with us and show us some of your portraits.
Okay. I've been painting for about 4 years. I started completely by accident. I painted my living room walls, and the art I had didn't fit anymore. So I had this little idea in the back of my head. I said, well, I've got to get something new. But meanwhile, I was looking, not finding anything. So I just took one of the things out of the frame and painted over it. And I had some craft paint, and I painted some roses on it and put it on the wall. And I thought, yeah, it's not good, but it'll do till I find something. I had a couple of people come in and say, where did you get that? And I said, I painted it. And they said, well, that's good, you ought to paint. So I started.
So you did, and it started quite by accident. I know you have some beautiful groupings here.
Well, thank you.
And it's only been a couple of years.
About 4 years now.
How do you choose your colors?
I try to choose a combination, of course, of cool colors and warm colors. Blue is my favorite color, so almost everything I paint has blue in it somewhere. Occasionally I'll force myself to not use blue, but that's a struggle. And pretty much I just kind of go with whatever I feel like it needs. Usually I lay out a palette of colors and say, this is what I'm going to use. Then I'll get about halfway through and go, oh, I need something else. And I'm digging in the paint drawer saying, now what color do I need? And adding something extra.
Well, Gene, tell us about this painting.
Okay.
What's the history behind it?
This painting started in a workshop that I took on abstract, non-representational art. As you can see, this is representational because of the flowers, but we were learning how to, start a non-representational piece, and I started it in the class, just laid out basically the blues and some of the greens. And when I got home, I was still working on it, and I couldn't decide where to go with it. And it started out, turned the other way, and I kept playing with it, and I turned it this way, and I really felt lost. And sometimes you have to let the work tell you where to go. And with this one, I said, it needs some yellow. And so I took the yellow and started painting tulips. And when the tulips got there, all of a sudden it started to make sense, and then I added the white line work and some little bits and pieces, and I used a lot of texturing things. I'm not sure if it shows up on camera, but you can see the little bubble looking things here and the grid-like pattern on the tulips. And those are just texturing techniques that we use in what's called experimental art, which is where you use whatever it takes to make the piece work.
Well, it's very beautiful. How many paintings have you done?
I couldn't even begin to tell you. Once I started painting and got serious about it, I paint at least 2 or 3 days a week. And I have lots of things that are unfinished in a bin and lots of things that are finished. I would say I've probably done a couple of hundred paintings.
Now, you put on shows also. What do you have upcoming?
Upcoming very soon is the Jacksonville Fair on the Square, and I'll have a booth there, which I'll be selling stuff. That's the only thing I have scheduled right now.
And then you have a website.
I do have a website.
What's the website address?
It's www.geneblack.com. It's very simple. It's my name.
G-E-N-E.
G-E-N-E-B-L-A-C-K.
Color black.
Correct.
Okay. Well, this is beautiful. And I know you have other paintings. Let's see some of your other paintings.
Okay. See if I can do this without falling down.
Now, do you do your own framing?
I do some of my own, but I also have some of it done. If I can do a plug by Green's Art Supply.
Okay.
Let me get this the right way up. This is completely non-representational, and it's got lots of texture, and lots of color. This is a cruciform design, which means that it's basically the shape of a cross in there.
Okay,
and
I see that.
that's a classic design format. In the study of art, they say that it goes back to the ancient Chinese. And almost all of the design formats that all artists use go back that far. So art transcends history that way. With my non-representational, I try not to tell you what it's about. I like to let the viewer look at it and decide what they see. So let's just play that game, and you look at it and tell me.
Well, what I see the cross,
Okay,
and I'm not certain what the boxes represent.
okay, that's fair.
What would you say they represent?
They could be buildings. Personally, what I see, and I'll be fair and tell you what I see. I see a river flowing through here, and this is like a city behind it. And, you know, we got lots of atmosphere over here. And that's basically what I see. And every time I look at it, I see something different.
Now, what I see now that I'm looking at it, I see the cross, and the darker blue boxes, the royal blue boxes, to me represent the Holy Trinity.
They could very well.
And then I see us under the Holy Trinity.
Okay. The neat thing about non-representational abstract art is that it lets the viewer become part of the work. And do you read books?
Oh, yes.
Fiction?
I'm a bookworm.
Great. Then you'll understand this completely. When you read a book, you become an active participant, don't you?
Yes.
Do you frequently put yourself in the role of the heroine or whatever? Exactly. And all art is that way. It is participatory. Now, you may think that you just listen to music and you don't participate, but most good music will make things happen inside your head.
Right.
And all art is that way. Good writing, good music, good painting will all bring you into it and make you a part of it. And I really like the non-representational because it makes you think.
That's right.
And I like for people to think.
Show us something else.
Okay.
And that's beautiful. I love that.
Okay.
Now, I know your pricing would be on the web.
My pricing is on the website if
Okay.
anybody's interested.
Now, could I go with something framed or not framed? Would that be my choice?
Yes. I mean, some of the stuff is framed in permanent frames. This is a show frame, and so it's very easy to unframe it. The other piece that we looked at is not in a show frame. It's permanently framed, and I really wouldn't take it out of the frame. Okay, shall we go with something representational
Yes,
this go
let's do
around?
that.
Let's see. This will show up really well.
It's beautiful.
And it is very representational. It, of course, is a hibiscus. I actually did two versions of that, and let me just show you the other version. Same flower, and completely different.
Okay. Now, tell us the story behind those two.
Okay, this started out in a workshop also. I went completely against what the teacher was trying to teach us. I had not painted with watercolors before, and she was teaching us a very loose, free style. I had been doing loose and free with acrylics already, so I didn't have to have that. But I was learning to control the watercolor and learned actually a lot in that class. And so, as you see, this is very structured. I mean, it has very precise edges. And then when I did this one, I said, well, let's go a little looser and do some runny background and things like that and just go. But, you know, I liked the hibiscus, and I like the idea of changing it and making it different for
I like both, but you really focus in on the hibiscus on this one.
on the top
And then,
one.
and then I see the background in the back, which
Right.
just adds a little more to it.
Right. And I didn't put background in this one just because I was afraid I'd mess it up. And it was my first real success with watercolor.
It's very pretty. That's very pretty. With Avon, we talk about beauty on the outside and beauty on the inside. And I love to look at your paintings. I can see the beauty coming out from you on those. You like flowers?
I do. I have absolutely beautiful rose bush in my front yard that if people say, you must work on that really hard to get it to be so beautiful, and honestly, I don't. I say, I was lucky, I planted it in the right spot, purely by the grace of God.
Well, Gene, let's go to a real quick break, and we're going
Sure.
to talk a little bit more about this when we come back. And thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for watching.
So let's talk about cellulite and how we hate it and how there's gotta be a better way. Introducing CelluSculpt from Avon Solutions, the way to help make your thighs up to an inch thinner in 4 weeks. It's painless. New CelluSculpt helps increase circulation so you can dump some of that excess baggage. Let's talk about toning and firming and maybe even fitting into things. So be lumpy, dumpy, and dimply, or call your Avon lady and order yourself a pair of slimmer thighs. Get CelluSculpt, the anti-cellulite treatment, only from Avon. So let's talk about your age and how it's okay to lie. Why? Because Avon's found a way to outsmart the aging process with a new Retroactive, the #1 anti-aging skin cream. 100% of the women who tested it had fewer lines, less wrinkles. Let's talk about skipping birthdays, erasing years, and being 40 but looking 30-something. Let's talk about calling your Avon lady and telling her you need the #1 anti-aging skin cream. Order a new Retroactive. Pro-U skincare that works like subtraction.
Thank you so much for watching today. I have with me Gene Black. He's a local artist in this area, and it's been a real fun show. We're going to talk a little bit about Avon. We're located in the Quintard Mall, close to Things Remembered in the food court. And stop by and see us anytime. We're during regular mall hours, 10 to 9 at night, and that's Monday through Saturday. And then on Sundays we're open from 12 to 6. I have a product bundle put together, actually several at the mall. We have a product bundle called the Beauty Preview Bundle. Now what that means is these are items that are not even in the brochure yet. You're looking at several things. The Ultimate Day Cream. Now we have Ultimate Night. We've had that in focus for about 2 years, but this is the day cream. The neat thing about that day cream is it's a little lighter to wear under your makeup, or if you're a guy. About half of my customers are men, by the way, and Jen and I are going to talk about that in a few minutes. This is a $75 value, and it's only $49.99. You get the new bubble bath we have. Now the Moisture Therapy lotion, body lotion, has been around a little while. And the Always body lotion, which goes with the trilogy of fragrance we have. Selma Hayek is our sponsor person for that. We have 2 lipsticks, and they're the summer colors, and it's a light pink and a darker pink, and a bag goes with that. And stop by the mall and see it. We have everything out on display. Again, all of these items would be $75 if you bought those separately. We also have the Skin So Soft SPF 15, the little wipes, which are really neat to carry in your purse. SPF 15 sunscreen, and it's very water resistant. So, Gene, if you're traveling down on the road, decide you want to jump into the water, take a swim, water resistant.
Great.
So it's very water resistant. We also are still, this is an ongoing special with CelluSculpt. CelluSculpt is 2 for $20, only $10 a piece. Those are $16 if you buy those separately. And CelluSculpt is very interesting, the way you use that on your thighs and basically any area. Under your arms is a good place to use it. Gene, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be
It's
here.
very enlightening. Tell us a little bit about the history of painting.
You mean art through the ages?
Yeah, through the ages.
Oh, I wouldn't know where to begin. Do you have a favorite artist?
Monet?
One of my favorites. My 2 favorites are Van Gogh and Monet.
Yes.
Both are impressionist. Van Gogh is a little more sharp and rough with his images, and I was really surprised. I painted this little landscape that's hanging, or actually seascape hanging in my office at work, and I did the sky strange. It's blue and it's got yellow and white clouds kind of going across. I went to Metropolitan Museum of Art store in Atlanta, and I saw a Van Gogh, and his sky was so similar, and I went, wow, I'd never seen that before. And so I was really excited about that. But Monet was like me, very, very nearsighted and could not see, and he did not have the luxury of good glasses like I have. And so he painted what he saw. And even though it's all watery and everything, It's probably a reason I like him, because up until 3rd grade, that's the way I saw everything. I didn't realize that you looked at a tree and saw individual leaves. It was just blobs of green. And, you know, that is actually why Monet painted the way he did.
Now, was he left-handed?
I don't
I hear
know.
a lot of the artists were left-handed.
I don't know.
Now, I paint some. Of course, I'm out of practice. It's been years since I've done anything. I've given away most everything I've done. But I do a lot of flowers.
Yeah, flowers are a very popular thing to paint because you can't go wrong with them. I mean, they're already beautiful. Favorite joke I've heard about flowers, that the artist said to the little girl walked up to the artist and said, "What are you painting?" And she said, "I'm going to paint a flower." And she said, "Didn't God make it pretty enough?" And sometimes I think maybe I shouldn't be painting flowers because God did make them pretty enough.
That's right. Let's look at another painting.
Okay, great.
And remember, we can go on your website, look at paintings.
Absolutely.
Okay, along with pricing.
Yes.
And then we have the upcoming show just off the square in Jacksonville.
Right. And that's April the 23rd. And this is another non-representational, again, using a cruciform design. And I used some interesting texture in here, although mostly it's smooth. The texture is only visual. The circle grid pattern here and here, smaller grid here, and some letters and numbers.
How long does it take you to do a painting?
Sometimes an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 2 weeks, and you never know. And sometimes the ones that are quick, you have to say, how did I do that fast? But it's when you switch mind modes and you get into a mode of, I'm not there, I'm letting the work paint itself.
Do you find when your mood changes, your paintings change?
Yes. There are some moods that I get in where painting is not a good idea. But there are some days where I have to go to work and I could stay home and paint all day because my mind is there. And I usually carry with me markers and notepads and things to sketch on, just so I can capture something really quickly if I see something that just, oh, I've got to paint that. So, you know, that's a rather common artist thing to do, but sometimes I just need a creativity break.
I'm not certain what I'm seeing on this one.
Okay.
I'm imagining a close-up of my grandmother at church with a suit, and this is a brooch. But I'm not certain what the numbers mean.
Honestly, the numbers mean nothing. They were just put there to add interest to the painting. Again, I'm a member of Experimental Artists of Alabama, and we do things like that. We, you know, put things in, and they're really just there to make you think. You know, I have not developed any great theory as to what those particular letters and numbers mean.
It's just something you were thinking about that day.
Yeah, and I wanted to try it.
Now, Gene, are all artists starving artists?
No, they're not. I would think that most people have heard of one that most artists don't even like to mention, Thomas Kincaid. He's definitely not starving.
I love his paintings.
Norman Rockwell did not starve. He went about his art a little different way because he painted magazine covers. But no, all artists are not starving. Lots of us work another job or are retired. Great number of the local artists that I know are retired and painting, you know, for enjoyment and profit. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons I'm painting now and kind of getting used to it is I'm hoping that in my retirement years I'll be able to do this to supplement my income.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a good idea. Okay, I'm a young artist and I'm trying to get started. How would you suggest a person get started?
Pick your media, whatever you want to work with, and do it as much as you can. Some great artist, I'm trying to remember who, I think it was Picasso, said, all children are artists. The problem is remaining one when we become adults. And a book called The Politics of Creativity, the author says that